We have many sayings and proverbs in our community about the strength of the whānau. We come into this earth by our whānau and we leave this world with whānau. I know no other way of living.
We were a thriving community up until about 10 years ago. Then we had the big exodus. And what happened was we had another migration of our people into the cities.
Wellington's the wealthiest city in New Zealand, and all over Wellington there are households where there are empty fridges, where there's nothing for breakfast, where bills aren't paid. The decisions are very, very difficult. Families are very stretched, and these are working families.
The situation families have been in prior to coming to us has become more extreme. There's more rough sleeping. We have had instances of a mother and her 10 or 11-year-old daughter sleeping at Takapuna Beach.
The South Dunedin is a 10 on the Deprivation Index, which puts it at sort of that more deprived area across the country. There are lots of challenges for people managing financially and all the things that go with that, because if you've got inadequate heating you get health issues and children struggling at school because they're hungry, and so there's all those sorts of issues that you get.
Yeah, but the thing about Hokianga is this.
It's actually quite an amazing place.
Yeah,
I like it here.
It is. There's not many people that know that we're here.
This film may be called the first episode of the story of the Exodus. For us, it started in First World War, 1914. A lot of our young guys went over the war, and a lot of them didn't come back. And then a few years ago, a lot of the families left here, and they went away because they were ordered away from the social welfare. So that exodus is still going even today.
We had someone working for working income, and we was out here offering employment down the South Island, and we saw this happening, and I said to her, "You can't do this. You're taking our people away. Those are our baby makers. The community will suffer." And we're paying for that now, and that's exactly what's happened now.
Whole families were migrating to mainly Australia. One was for a better lifestyle, 2 was for the opportunity, and 3, they wanted to secure their place back home by becoming independent financially.
At the end of year 13, the goal was to go straight into university. So I looked at Victoria University down in Wellington. It changed me as a person. I grew a lot and I had a strong appreciation for family, for home.
My family would love to live back here too on a more permanent basis, to work on the marae, to work in the church, to work in our cemeteries, to just work in the papakainga, but are able to sustain a living.
Jobs is one thing that we need, that we'd love to see. A lot of people would come home. It would mean a lot of families don't have to go elsewhere, travel overseas, move into cities, because at the end of the day, the kids miss out on being brought up the way that my parents were, my grandparents were, which means that is lost.
To maintain our marae, it takes a community. And if the majority of your community are living outside your community, you cannot maintain our whare here with kaikranga, with people to talk on our taumata. And then in the kitchen, we can't maintain the manaki of all our manuhiri.
It has really put a lot of pressure on our way of being Māori. And so having to move away from the area is really turning our place into a ghost town.
I'd say in the last 2 or 3 years we've been increasingly aware that families are coming from all over New Zealand.
There is a shortage of housing. I think it's perceived that on the North Shore there is no homelessness, but homelessness is well and very alive on the North Shore.
They were really good to me because I came from an abusive relationship. I couldn't get any other rentals anywhere else. It was really hard because I was on the benefit and I had 2 young children, and people don't like to rent to beneficiaries. That's what I found anyway.
It's very hard at the moment to achieve affordable housing in Auckland. So that forces them into living with their extended family network in the best cases.
With housing becoming increasingly short, we are finding that the stay of our families is lengthening, and we have nowhere else to house our families because they only have an income that they would only survive in Housing New Zealand houses.
A typical profile of our families would be that they have couch surfed, often for 2 to 3 years, so they've been living with extended family or friends.
Living with family is hard because, as Junior and I, our 2 boys, it was either a 3-bedroom house, which they have their own children, my children, and then everyone's just getting into everyone's space, and you just want to be on your own.
That children are at greatest risk. Such things as, like schooling, often that becomes non-existent, or just the sheer thing of living in an overcrowded house. When it comes to bedtime or sleep time, there is no place. So there you might be just put in this bed or there, and there is any number of people in and out that house.
And it's increasingly chaotic, I think we'd find. So each move has pushed them into a further state of crisis, and many of our families are working, but they're on minimum wage.
While we congratulate you on the steps taken so far, which have seen nearly 500 council workers move to the 2013 living wage rate, including our good friends, the parking wardens, council workers, including cleaners, security guards and recycling workers, are still on poverty rates of pay.
When my daughter was born, I was getting paid $14.40. So that wasn't that was after probably 3 years. After 3 years, I only rose that much.
I think it's something like about 40% of kids living in poverty have at least one full-time wage earner in their household. So this is not just an issue for beneficiaries, this is an issue for people who work.
We see workers all the time who make one of the biggest sacrifices, which is to work very long hours. That means no time with family. It means no time to go to things like school report nights, sit with kids and read, go to church together. Just to be participating in your family and social and community life.
Growing up, we were such a close-knit family, but we didn't have time for that. I didn't have time for that because I was always at work. Missed out on a whole lot of family stuff. Nephews' birthdays. I couldn't do anything.
Look, more and more we're seeing that the labour market is becoming, for low-income workers, is becoming a tsunami of contractors, subcontractors, labour hire companies, and employers being removed from direct employment. And I just think there's in that process a total lack of power, a total lack of ability to talk to your employer about what it takes to live. And so I think these things are very destructive of family life and very destructive of workers and families.
Whoa, thank you.
The relationship between me and my wife kept on going up and down because I was always working so much, and work was my only home. Thinking about it now, just takes me back to it was a real dark place back then. That's why man, I can just remember how like helpless I felt, you know?
Well, you can't budget if you haven't got enough money. You know, you can't, you can be a very good manager, but you only need one little thing like maybe an urgent visit to a dentist or shoes needing replacement, and that tips people over.
Traditionally, this is the area where the working class families lived. Hillside workshops, huge industries just around the corner here. Sadly, that's closed, just closed in the last couple of years. Lots of jobs lost. So there's a huge sort of unemployment here. And I suppose we don't see people leave because of unemployment. They're often here because they're unemployed. I love when I'm out visiting or seeing people, hearing stories of how neighbours pop over, watch each other, do shopping for the elderly person next door. It's a wonderful community in that sense. But we also see occasions where families get isolated and end up battling along on their own, and life can be really tough and really difficult.
A woman in the parish, her washing machine broke down, and it was going to cost a couple of $100 or something to fix it, but she didn't have that. So she went to one of the finance loan companies and bought a new one. But within a few months, she couldn't meet the payments, and she had a $1,000 debt. Now, if we can find people within our community, because it's not just loans and money that people need, if we can find somebody to maybe fix it or take it to the repairer or pick it up, you know, somebody with a trailer, it just makes things so much easier.
Like, as a community of faith, you know, we're never doing it on our own, and whether people are in family situations or living on their own, you know, we need each other, you know, one, to make our faith strong, two, to just assist us to live good human lives that are joy-filled, that are happy.
Money's not always the answer. It's about the community maybe coming together and supporting somebody in need within our pastoral area.
DePaul House is a place for these families to come and address their issues, to regroup with respect and dignity as a family.
So as their housing is achieved and they're feeling safer and more secure, they'll come to the learning centre, or they'll come to the budget class and they'll say, well, actually, I would like to achieve a working budget. Can you show me how I can address this debt?
We have cooking classes here on Fridays sometimes, and us mothers would come in here, and there'd be two other special lady that comes and teach us how to cook meals that goes along with the budget.
You know, the ability to be in one, you know, place where they belong in a community. They're not transient. The effects on a family are huge. Their health, their well-being, their ability to be able to contribute to community.
It's not all just practical skills, it's actually giving them a sense of belonging, and that's the other part of the playgroup, which is the essential link with the learning centre.
There's education classes, there's computer classes, there's well, the Thursday class is the cafe club, and so obviously different speakers come, and yeah, I just find it just helps me, you know, and seeing the girls too, it's really good to catch up with them.
DePaul House proves that there is a need on the North Shore, and I think the strength of our model is it's very much based within that community. So we're very much focused on our community and community based, and I think we're a good working model for New Zealand society.
DePaul House helped us with the finding us a house in around this area, which we love. A really good feeling, knowing that my kids are safe. We have our own home, don't have to worry about where we're going to be this weekend or if we're going to make it to the weekend. Yeah.
A stable home for any New Zealander is it's your stake in the ground, it's your way to participate in society. If you don't have a stable and secure home, then you can't build to the next step in your journey.
Right up until 2 years ago, Catholic Social Services was centred in the in the central city of Dunedin, but it was 6 floors up in a central city building, and it wasn't particularly accessible for social work or for clients coming in for help.
That was the old school building. You know, with the help of the architects, we just built a wonderful space, and incorporating Catholic social services really helped heaps. It just seemed to make sense to centre everything in the one place, and this is like the centre of our pastoral area, our 4 parishes, and so we wanted a place where we could gather as community and support each other and be an outward looking parish.
We've run community dinners for the whole community, and that's been the parishioners that have actually done all the work with that, and that's had a really positive spin-off, because the people that are coming are people that really wanted to be there, that had nowhere else to go.
Those core aspects of Catholic social teaching sort of are in it. It starts from human dignity. What does it feel like to be lonely? What does it feel like to be, you know, excluded in some way? How do we lift up people from all sorts of socio-economic backgrounds so that we have a real sense of equality?
Sharing a meal helps to break down so many barriers, and that's why it's such a central part, I think, of what we do. It's our Eucharist, lived out.
I think it's a sense of connection, you know, that's the thing, to actually, and they don't know each other, people just come along and sit down at the table, and so, you know, it's really special.
I think our eyes are being opened now that more and more people are using our facilities and part of this space. Our eyes are being opened to the people living in our community and their needs and their requirements. And I think there's a real genuine desire among our parishioners to be involved with the people in the community, a real generosity of spirit.
We got involved with Living Wage last year. We kind of built this organization based on really ethical principles, you know, where we wanted to be a leader in things like organic and sustainable food and create a work environment that was conducive to that. So when we heard about the living wage, it was like, okay, well, this is the next step.
We keep getting told about poverty, that there'll always be poor people. And really those people who are very well off have deserved it because they've worked hard. And we know that in fact workers work hard every day, but they don't get paid enough to support their families. Now, the fantastic thing about the living wage movement is, having been told there's no alternative, we've got community groups, churches and unions saying there is no alternative.
Well, it was me and one of my workmates, and someone who just came from a meeting at the council walked past, and they told us, hey, did you guys find out that the living wage is going to get implemented? And we were like really shocked, and I was like, I honestly didn't know what to say. That's when I knew, nah, this is me, this is it. This is all that I've been fighting for, this is all that I've wanted. This is what my family deserves, you know? My daughter, she's able to like have clothes, have things that I never had growing up. That's for sure. Even when I got my contract in the mail, I couldn't help but smile like, and keep laughing and telling my wife how blessed we were.
For us, it was really an ethical choice, and you know, that didn't really sit right with us, that they couldn't even afford the food that we were serving, you know what I mean? And I don't see how not paying your people enough is a good idea. That's the opposite of efficiency, as far as I can tell. So, yeah, paying people what they're worth, and then trying to push even more into it, and making it so that they're healthy and happy and they can perform. That makes good business sense.
My family, we're living proof that the living wage actually works. My daughter and my wife and me, my whole family, my friends, we all thank the Wellington City Council and the Living Wage campaign for giving us what we actually needed.
There was a wonderful Te Aupori kaumātua who was living amongst us. He said to me, never forget the strengths of Panguru. And the strengths of Panguru are that you have your hāhi katorika. You have your faith. You have your whakapono. Everyone can learn how to read and write in English. Everyone, our people did that years ago. Teach them te reo, teach them who they are. Don't ever change your school to become a school that's not from this area. But remember that your ancestors agreed to the faith. So I totally believe that our young people deserve to have the best that we can give them, as well as to never forget what their kāinga, what their home provides for them. For me, whānau, I don't know any other way. I only know about living with people that know me and know all about me.
In order to flourish, every family needs to be safe, to have somewhere that's warm to live.
What we needed, number one, support.
Like the first thing is time. Like the family needs time together to be able to flourish.
To play a part, be active in society. That's what flourishing is all about.
You know, it's not even about the money. It's actually about the people.
So any way that we can create community, make life worth living and fun, I think we're actually living our faith. We're trying to live dignified lives as human beings and helping each other in that.